Wait,
All right.
an echo? I tried to think to. I try to think, try to prod back into my memories. Where was I last? What was the last thing that I remember doing? Slipping, banging your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying, trying to remember is monumental. More than I can handle, and unfortunately, I drift back into unconsciousness.
Getting hit by a train called Brian.
Yeah. I'm pulled back into the sickly dark as something jolts my body. I grimace and gasp. I'm filled with such a feeling of unprovoked loneliness and despair that I actually feel my eyes watering as a sob escapes my mouth. I hear a soft chuckle above me and I go quiet. I still don't know where I am or what's going on at all, but that laugh is enough to tell me that I don't want to be where I am. The feeling of
Again, he's
hanging
so
from.
perceptive for an unconscious person. I
Yeah.
wish I could have this much awareness, going on when I'm like asleep.
Mm-hmm. The feeling of hanging from a rope is gone now. Instead, I'm lying on something flat and hard, and my arms and legs are spread out. Spread eagle, huh?
The
The
horse
air
is.
is cool and the air is cool now, and my skin is cold and wet, like I've been sweating a lot. The feeling is especially strong along my back, and I want to roll over, but I can't. Something is holding my arms down, and there's a rattling sound when I try to move. I moan and try to open my eyes, and try to open my eyes again, though it's almost like they've been glued shut. With a little more effort, I manage to crack one open. At first, all I see is a blur of colors above me, and I have to blink a few times to clear it. Slowly, the image comes together, and I'm able to make out that someone is there above me.
It's Rainbow Dash. It's just you're in like My Little Pony, but it's a nightmare. And your
No,
arms are
no, no,
strapped.
it's Spider-Face.
Your arms are strapped as like the other pony is about to just start pulling you apart.
Yeah,
My Little
getting
Nightmare.
drawn and quartered. Yeah.
No, what I'm picturing is Brian just has a radioactive spider just there, fights Chase. Oh, that's how we get this picture.
Mm-hmm.
Chases
I feel
Spider
my
Man.
blood run cold, realizing that someone has been watching me this whole time. But I'm lying down. How can someone be on the ceiling? I try to speak, but only a dry, crackling squeak comes out of my throat. At this point, my vision is cleared enough to make out an otter. An otter? I squint. A blue shirt, beige pants. I gasp and reflexively try to draw back away from the thing. Is it me? It smiles. It's missing my goatee. How? The flat surface I'm lying on tilts precariously, and my stomach lurches. I try to clutch at the surface, though there's nothing to grab onto. I shut my eyes and gag as I feel my stomach swirling around inside me. All I
You
can
know,
do is pray for it to stop, feeling like everything around me is about to fall over. The ache
I
in my
do like
head.
the idea that the goatee is so terrible, even Brian hates it, and he just like shaved it off while he was asleep. He's like, he's like, look, I'm gay, but I'm not that gay that I'm gonna let you keep that that terrible goatee.
Even better is if he actually just had a patch of completely unshaved fur. You just see his skin underneath of it.
Like, look, I'm
I'll
into some
turn you.
really bad stuff. I'm not going to
He
let you
gave
keep
you a
that
close
bad
shave.
facial hair.
I'll turn your Audi into an innie. The ache in my head is magnified tenfold, and tears start to leak from my eyes. Just when I think I'm about to slip off the face of the earth, the ground starts to tilt back the other way. I swallow and gasp for air, my entire body shaking and sweating all over again. I feel like I've been swimming too long and my body's exhausted. What the hell is going on? I remember that someone was staring down at me from the ceiling, and I opened my eyes again, fearful. I cringe as I see the same otter staring down at me. The otter that's clearly wearing the same clothes as I am.
I finally see how ridiculous my goatee is.
But now it's not smiling. A tear-stained expression is on its face.
I tried
It's
to
a
talk Leo into this, but no, now Brian's doing it.
it's a mirror. A mirror on the ceiling? I try to sit up, but come up short, gagging as something tightens around my neck. I try to move my hands to whatever it is, and that doesn't work either. That same rattling sound I heard earlier makes me look towards my right hand and see that it makes my blood freeze. Around my wrist looks like a leather strap. I desperately look at my other hand and find the same results. Looking at my feet, I see the same contraptions fixed to my ankles. When I try to lift one of my feet, I see metal glinting from underneath, making me think that the leather is bolted to the platform. All employees. Panic right.
Every time the word platform, it says DSP. All employees get to the mounting platform. All employees.
Panic rises up in my chest, and I kick my feet and try to flail my hands, but the straps hold firm to what looks like a wooden planks. Which is the platform that I'm lying on? They're arranged in a way to leave me spread eagle. Over the leather, I can smell all kinds of musk, though the strongest one reminds me of Clint. I try to lift up my head, but the thing around my throat is too tight and instantly makes me choke again. My head throbs. Tears start to form in my eyes again as I try to think back. Where the fuck am I? Is this a prank of some kind? Maybe my friends at the door.
For their merry pranksterness.
Oh, yeah, I know. Maybe my friends at the dorm were trying to scare me. Had I been drinking at a party? No, wait. I'm an echo. That's the last place I remember being.
I've gotten drunk too much sometimes and ended up in a BDSM dungeon. So, I mean, that does happen.
Somehow, right?
I'm so innocent.
Magic,
That's never
yes.
happened to me before.
I'm here for a project, and I'd been with my old friends. I was with Leo, and I'd been at the diner. Suddenly, all the horrible things that had happened in the day come rushing back. Janice. Sorry, I missaid her name. Jaundice. Jaundice. Clint. Brian. The gun. Oh my god. Had that really happened? I struggled a bit more, then tried to think. I had run to Leo's house. Leo, I don't know what happened to him. I left him with Duke. And then Brian. He'd been chasing me and tried to break in. Started to breathe heavily again as I realized where I might be. Brian got me when I was trying to run and hide. He just fucking attacked me. I look around. I'm in a small room with what looks like a living room of some kind. There's a couch to my right and a wall with a clock on it to the left, ticking away. There's a window too, and along with the ticking, the wind blowing outside is the only other sound that I can hear.
Can we just take a moment to just like admire this scene? It's like it looks like there's a window in the back with like plastic draped over it.
Yeah, it's broken window.
And then
It's not a sofa. It's just a big old giant lazy boy.
yeah, it's this big old. There's a basketball behind the text screen.
Yeah.
So you should think like Brian is like somewhat fit. There's like looks like a little toolbox, and there's like empty bottles all over the floor next to it.
Well, what's weird for me is that the chair and that table are both things look exactly like things that my grandparents had.
Yeah.
The weird
Kind
cheer
of. Kind of looks like just stuff he inherited.
It was probably the old badgers
Actually,
before he killed him.
it looks like those chairs are like the same kind that we've had before, huh, Finn?
Yep.
Then also, can't put doors on for under the sink. It just all spills out.
I've got a picture where someone actually tried to put like drawers in front of a sink, but then it was like they just had to accept that yeah, you can't fit drawers in here, but we'll just keep the little drawer like hole right there. It was like keep the drawer right there. Like the cover of a drawer.
I mean, you can put drawers in front of a sink, but you have to like cut the drawers in a way that makes them custom fit to where the sink is.
Or you just
And
have
you
to cut
probably
the shit
need-
out of the sink.
Just have an awesome
Yeah.
sink where it's just really far back. You just have a wide counter.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have something where you could like pull the drawers out and then unlatch the entire assembly and swing it out so you could get to the sink assembly if you needed to.
Yeah.
Looking down towards my legs, I can see what looks like a tiny kitchen with some cupboards and countertop. Dishes and junk are piled high along the length of the counter, and it smells like cigarette smoke. Judging from the layout and size of the place, it looks like I'm in a trailer home. A small moan of terror escapes my lips. I'm in Brian's house. Fucking Brian. You hear that, Brian? We're in your house.
To be fair, I'm surprised it only smells like cigarettes.
Yeah.
Not, the rotting flesh of his victims or, the meth that he's cooking in there or...
I mean, he's so fat for a reason. What do you think he does with all that meat?
Nom nom nom.
I remember Kud telling me that he lived in one. Tears started leaking out of my eyes again, even though the crying was making my head throb all over again. All I can think about is what he was going to do to Clint. No. No. I have to calm down. I don't want to attract any attention if he's actually nearby. After what happened in the diner, the cops have to be on their way. It's if they aren't already here. People eat in the diner all the time. Someone, one of my friends probably, would find it and call someone. I just have to wait until they find me. I swallow again, feeling my body break out into a cold sweat all over again.
Yeah, because I'm sure his friends aren't doing anything crazy either. We only saw TJ running from invisible monsters.
Yeah, and
I mean,
so like a big thing.
Now,
With
honestly, whenever
kidnappings.
I read that part about TJ like running by and like his arms waving around in the air, what I think of is way back in the beginning of like when Markiplier started his channel, he had this, and one of the ends of his videos, he had something called the Markiplier mating dance or mating ritual, where he would just like. You just like lean over a little bit and just have his arms like he's like pulling up on like a rope or something and just like up over his head. So it's just like straight up and down. And that's what I consider like TJ was doing, is just running around doing the Markiplier mating dance.
So like real talk for those of you who are watching this on YouTube or wherever. The chances of you actually getting rescued after getting kidnapped and spirited away somewhere are incredibly slim. Do everything you can to never, ever go with somebody who is trying to forcibly take you anywhere. Even if that means you have to die fighting them. Do everything in your power to make sure that your DNA, your spit, your blood, their spit is everywhere. Everywhere.
You want to practically explode with evidence.
Yeah, because if they actually manage to get you away, if they actually manage to kidnap you, the chances of you being found are, they're not infinitesimal. That means extremely small, infinitely small. They're not super. I mean, what is it, like 10% chance of being rescued, 20% chance? And every hour, every minute that goes by reduces the chances of you actually being rescued. By the end of the first day, you should just assume that you're going to die. That you will only escape if they let you. So, if you ever find something leading up to this, make Duke kill you.
Yeah, make Duke
Do
kill
not,
you, make Brian kill
like,
you.
grab any weapon you can and just go at them. Try to escape. Do everything that you can to escape. In this situation, like literally break your hand trying to get out of that if you have to. Because really, as I said, every single minute reduces your survival chances. I mean, the situation that Chase is in right now, he's spread full eagle, leather's bolted down. It's bolted down behind his neck most likely. He can't do anything. So unless, the boards are weak or something and he can just break out or he's Superman, he's pretty much just entirely at Brian's mercy, and Brian's going to do horrible, horrible things to him, and he's going to wish he would just die, most likely.
I don't know. I have a theory of Super Chase.
Yeah, Super Chase could be a thing. But yeah, it's the whole thing. In reality, never allow yourself to be put in this situation. Make them kill you.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't be Chase.
Yeah.
Because whenever Chase gets into trouble,
Well,
he
I
just
think that's a good rule
freezes.
for life.
Yeah, it's a
That's a good
great
rule for life.
life. Don't be Chase.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay, well, that's just a good rule for life. And Discord automatically switched, so that was pretty easy. Now that I know that it's doing that.
There you go.
Don't be Kaiser's
yeah.
Discord. Don't be Chase.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything you can. Never be in this situation. Never go somewhere against your will. Make them kill you.
Especially because the only one that would know at this point is Leo, who's also being kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's currently probably having his junk cut off of his body, being fed to him. So, it's, yeah. Yeah.
We don't really know.
If someone wants to kidnap you, they probably don't want to shoot you in the back.
I don't know. Chase got a pretty good idea. Just, Carl's is going to stumble in there and be like, I will find the Chase. I am Detective Carl.
Yeah.
Oh, Chase, where'd you go?
Detective
I
Hinton.
better get high and find out.
Yeah. All right, well, back to it. What's going on? They wanted something from us. I remember that, at least. But what? Duke had been saying something about seeing things, and that we might be responsible. Squeeze my eyes shut and shake my head, but then immediately stop when my head starts to throb from the movement. None of this makes any sense at all. Am I still dreaming? At that moment, I hear soft mumbling in the distance through the thin walls of the trailer. I freeze and hold my breath. It's a little ways off, but I'm almost positive that it's Duke. The high, wheezly whine mixed with the occasional smoker's cough is unmistakable. It's coming closer, and I can start to make out what he's saying.
Because we're already fucked here. You think we can just let him go and it'll all be fine? Getting back to, our disclaimer about don't being kidnapped?
I don't know who he's talking to, but the sound of an accompanying heavy, lumbering step gives me an idea.
It's worth it, though. If we can figure out what the fuck is going on. Because Duke, who has a joint the size of a cigar at all times, will be on this. We'll all be on figuring out the supernatural.
Oh, yes.
Indeed.
Sounds like they're right up against the trailer now. I can hear them walking around it towards the small door at the right side of the kitchen.
Leo ain't seen shit yet. Almost like he doesn't know anything. But I think it might be the otter. He's the one I seen last week.
The
That's kind
footsteps.
of romantic. Duke is, seeing Chase in his dreams.
Oh, yeah. He's like, oh, Chase, come closer,
Be
So
my
I can-
new rage.
so I can flay you again.
Fillet you again.
The footsteps stop in front of the door, and I listen hard, my heart pounding and pounding. My heart pounding. My heart pounding
Yeah,
in
if your
my chest.
heart can pounce, that's not a good
Yeah.
sign.
Pouncing
Usually
in
has
her
to
chest.
stay in the body.
Yeah, it usually just goes and like comes out like it's aliens, and then flies out of your chest and goes and eats somebody.
Echo happens in the Looney Tune universe. Confirmed.
I hope you haven't done it. Oh yeah, go for it, Duke.
I hope you haven't done anything to him yet. Because I want my turn first before you ruin him.
I didn't. I didn't.
Brian's uncharacteristically high-pitched voice sends a chill up my spine.
It sounds like
My
you just
fur.
got kicked in the nuts.
My,
Just because he's a bear in the country and a serial killer doesn't mean he can't be a queen.
yeah,
Hey,
true.
hey.
Yes, Queen.
Hey, listen to my banjo. Ba-da-dum-dum-dum.
My fur
And the
flaring
other
out
bears are going to have a jamboree. All right.
sends a chill up my spine. My fur flaring out with it.
You bet your ass you haven't. You do any of your fucked up shit to him?
I stop breathing, staring at my terrified expression in the mirror.
What I'm saying is we still got a chance to get out of this. Because no one's going to notice I murdered a person in a public place. What we've done is bad enough, but if we get them to understand, all the supernatural things will be just out in the open now.
They stop talking, and that's when I can hear Brian's heavy, labored breath. I'm not breathing at all. I'm worried that they'll be able to hear it, even though they already know I'm here. I lit
Chase,
out.
you're an otter, not a possum. No trying to play possum.
I lit it out and with a gasp as the door opened, suddenly swings open and Duke comes in. Duke comes up the steps, looking around before spotting me.
Brian, you are one sick dog.
I tense up as a massive shadow appears behind him, and it feels like the entire trailer tips a bit as Brian makes his way up the same steps. Brian's presence is so imposing and frightening that I don't even notice that Duke is now right next to me. And I jump when he sets his hand on my left arm. I jerk my head to look at him, wide-eyed.
Hey, calm down. We ain't gonna hurt you. Other than, knocking you out, dragging you around, and now got you in a torture device that no one will find you at. We're not gonna hurt you that much.
Yeah, we're not gonna hurt you.
And then Brian chuckles.
These little clippers here, and these are just for looks. And there's cigarette
goes and
clipper
grabs
too.
Brian goes and grabs his sewing kit.
Brian
You'll never
chuckles
piss
and-
again.
Well, sorry, that was spoilers.
Brian chuckles and Duke shoots him a look. He turns his attention back to me, softening his expression, at least as much as he can with his scraggly, drug-fucked face.
We just need to get some information from y'all. Like how, the town goes, because clearly you, as an otter that's lived a normal life, would know about that.
I open my mouth to speak, but all that comes out is a dry squeak. Brian chuckles again and makes his way to stand on my right. I cringe away from him and his stench of old sweat as he grins down at me with his yellow teeth.
Brian, get some fucking water. He's an otter.
Brian.
Otters need water. I learned that in the grade school.
Brian looks at Duke with a strange face before turning back to the kitchen.
Hey, don't worry about him. I know this thing.
Duke taps one of the boards with a finger.
Looks bad, but Brian saves me to it all the time. And, we have our fun, but we just gotta hold you here for a bit.
He's a queer. He likes it.
Duke glares at him as Brian comes back from the kitchen with a ceramic mug.
You're a queer too.
Brian visibly bristles and his face loses any of the sick humor it once had. Duke clears his throat.
Things have been happening here. We want to find out why. What?
Duke furrows his brows, like a kid trying to figure something difficult.
You see, people aren't right in the head here. Because, in case you didn't notice, all the crazy people here.
Yeah, no shit. Duke seems to immediately read my thought process because he holds his hands up and shakes his head.
Yeah, I know. What we are doing ain't exactly the right in the head either.
Brian gives his dumb chuckle again, but I keep my face averted from him. Partly because I really can't stand the smell.
But we're all a little fucked up here. Well, what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is something else. Like what you saw with Janice, the person I shot and just left her body there for, anybody to find.
I shift a little as I'm reminded about what happened at the diner.
Is she dead? Because, bullets don't always kill people.
Well,
People kill people.
well, you could say that her brain has its own personal air hole.
Duke looks genuinely sad.
I don't know, and it's a damn shame. I had a liking to her, but she just never requited it. But you saw the way she came at me. That's the fucking shit I'm talking about.
I look at the weasel's waistband and immediately see the handgun tucked into his pants there.
And I was hoping to stop before any of this stuff happened, but now
Everything's gone to shit.
Brian finishes for him, and I can feel him closer to the platform I'm laying on. Again, I avoid eye contact, not wanting to provoke him in any way.
yep, it's only gonna get worse.
Duke just looks at me like, well, that's all the information that I need.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I see a twitch of irritation in Duke's face, and I hold my breath.
I mean, what's happening out there?
Duke shakes his head.
What's happening everywhere? It wasn't just Janice that lost her mind.
Duke looks back at the window suddenly, his fur standing on end. I look too, but all I see are leaves and branches, the late afternoon sun filtering through them. Duke's quiet for a while before he starts speaking again without turning around.
It happened to my granddaddy, Clifford Tibbets. My daddy, and it happened to my granddaddy, my daddy, and now it's happening to me. Although Daddy doesn't get a spin-off game.
I close my eyes, wondering if Duke is just as crazy as Janice was. If he does, I doubt he even has a clue what he's doing right now.
Dale's missing. Cynthia drove off into the desert. But she's still inexplicably alive after 100 years, but, we're going to ignore that.
I was like
We'll
thinking,
just ignore that.
Cynthia? Who's Cynthia? Like, wait a minute, I know that name.
Duke turns around. Duke turns around to look back at me.
We saw your cat friend running down the street on his way here, saying something's after him, like a Sydney or something. Like, no one knows.
TJ?
Thing is, we all got something coming after us. Something bad. Wouldn't let you leave till it starts.
What's after you?
I flinch as Brian speaks just above me, leaning down towards my face.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I never murdered anybody. Oh, shit.
I flinch again as Duke's concerned demeanor immediately drops away.
Why do you think we came to get Leo and you? Because I got the good grammars.
He pauses, like I should actually know the answer. I feel myself starting to panic again with these two crazy hillbillies looming over my body.
I don't know what.
Duke slaps me and I gasp in shock.
I saw you hanging around this fucking town before you even got here. Late at night, lurking around, calling out for Leo, and then you started stripping, and it was the whole thing.
I'm still cringing from the slap, and I keep my eyes closed, as if not seeing any of this is going to make it stop.
And then once all your friends get here, hell breaks loose. You think that's a fucking coincidence? Because, two things happening in succession always means causality.
Remember, everybody who convinces coincidence with causality dies. It's quiet for a moment, and all I can hear is the rush of blood in my ears. Is it really happening? I feel Duke touch my arm again, and I flinch in fear.
Right, there it is. Hey!
I feel like he wants me to look at him, so I slowly open my eyes, tears spilling out as I do. The blurry shape of Duke dances in front of me.
So I gotta work on my ballet.
He's just got his arms above his head, spinning around.
He's dancing. Well, I'm not saying you did it or that you wanted it to happen, but you are clearly to blame, you Chase Hunter.
I don't say anything because I still don't know what he's talking about, but I know I can't tell him that.
It's just that you gotta know something. Anything that'll help us stop this. Because even though I am a direct descendant and probably talk to Clifford Tibbets himself, I don't know anything about this.
Duke starts to pet my arm and I shiver. Brian is breathing heavily next to me, and a glance at him shows that his expression is more interested now, almost eager.
His hands in his
Duke
pants.
still hasn't answered my question. Makes no sense that they'd go so far as to kidnap us.
Why? Why didn't you just ask us? Why all of this?
I lift my hands weakly, making the platform rattle. Duke's face darkens.
Because I've been asking Leo all week for what the fuck you guys are doing, and he wouldn't say shit. It's like, it's a private thing. We're just going to have a reunion with just some friends. But I need to know the details. Also, are you and Leo a thing again? I need to update my statuses.
Duke stops petting my arm and scratches behind his head.
Yeah, it's because Duke's got Duke Book. He's just waiting for it to go live.
On like an old, what were they called? 486? Because that's the newest computer he's got.
No,
Guess
it's
Duke
instead of MySpace, it's Duke Space.
Duke Space. You're just making me think that
Space Nine.
You're just making me think that Duke Nukem makes like Facebook.
Well, he's the other Duke. You got to have a partner.
That's like the voice whenever someone subscribes to you or something or follows you. Dude just followed you back. He's got balls of steel.
Balls of steel.
It'd be funny.
Here
It's
to
like
kick ass and chew bubble gum.
as
And I'm all out of gum.
as we're getting like other franchises into this, the Brian stands up and turns off the lights and goes,
Who's that kidnapper?
and he turns the lights on. It's Brian.
All right,
Then
Duke, go for it.
Fetty Frostbearer shows up and be like, Brian, you're stealing my gimmick.
Hey.
And Freddy and Brian start fighting. The rest of the meth gang pours in. There's like Foxy and everyone else jump in. There's a big fight. Tear the trailer apart.
Mm-hmm. Duke, go for it.
Wait, oh, you already read that? Okay. And,
Right, and
my someone told me that you would know. Because
Yes.
I get messages from the other side. My wife
Yes.
still, sends me texts.
mm-hmm. The death forced divorce, you know. I
Well,
stare at him.
We'll get into it later. Who? Who? I should say in the right voice. Someone I know. And it makes sense. Something bad happens. And if you don't fix it, it won't stop coming after you.
I shut my eyes and almost sob.
Says they know. And I thought it had to be Leo. Or you consider what we've been seeing the past few weeks. I know. The special friend told me. I couldn't have hallucinated that at all.
Duke pauses.
Or maybe one of your other friends. Yeah, let's get TJ on this bondage rack. I'm sure he'd love it.
You know, your Duke voice kind of sounds like Adam Sandler's character from The Waterboy.
Water sucks. It really, really sucks.
Water sucks.
My mind briefly flashes to TJ.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I wait for another slap, but it doesn't come. I open my eyes again, and Duke is looking back out the window.
We're kind of protecting you too, because by getting you directly next to the crazy, that stops other crazies from coming in. It's like the three stooges at the door.
I stare at the back of his head.
Things are getting worse out there, and if we don't figure out something soon, we're all gonna die. Because that's what happened in 1915. Everyone died. Don't know how we have descendants, but
Yeah. Duke's voice is dead and distant. Brian, though, touches my other arm, and I gasp, shrinking away. He's smirking down at me, looking at my stomach or crotch, somewhere around there.
Brian, stop. You're supposed to look at me that way.
Oh,
I'm
Duke is-
getting jelly.
Duke has turned back around, looking over at me and the bear.
We're not getting anywhere right now, and I gotta get back to the wolf. Because leaving a prisoner unattended for extended periods of time is a good, smart way to have a captive.
Even though Duke is the one that hit me, I'm terrified of the thought of being left alone with Brian. Duke sees my face.
Don't worry, Chase. Even though you're lying to us, I don't plan on letting this pervert have his way with you.
Brian
That's my job.
snorts. Brian
Brian,
snorts.
Brian, you know what will happen if he does.
Duke gives Brian a cold, callous stare, and this time Brian doesn't give his stupid grin back.
So you better hope your fuck buddy says something soon, because if not, we might have to get mean.
Duke heads for the door, turning to look over his shoulder.
Just feed him and make sure he doesn't escape. I don't know about, the bathroom thing if you're going to keep him tied up, but, that's it.
And with that, Duke briskly disappears out the door. A golden flash of afternoon light lighting up the dim trailer. Brian and I listen to the weasel's soft, anxious footsteps recede into the distance. As soon as the sound's gone, Brian stands up. I turn my head in time to see him whirl around and smash his fist into the wall. I jump as much as I can in my restraints before he does it again, this time slamming both his fists against the wall.
Faggot!
Yeah, that didn't pick up at all.
Fucking faggot!
He screams so loudly, my ears immediately start ringing. I think he's talking to me, so I brace myself for what I'm sure is going to be the worst moment of my life. But he stalks right past me, not even looking at me. Instead, he strides up to the kitchen counter. Once there, he picks up a dirty pan, then raises it over his head before bringing it down with a crash. I hear glass shatter before he does it again and again.
Goddamn cocksucking piece of shit!
He throws the pan across the room to crash into the wall.
I'll fucking kill him!
Taz, I'm having a hard time hearing you as Brian. Would you be able to, move a little closer to the mic or something, maybe? I don't know.
Bring it down a little bit so your mic actually picks it up.
Yeah.
Should I go back and do his other lines too?
Nah, just pick it up where we are right now.
Just moving forward, yeah. There's plenty of Brian left in this game.
I'll fucking kill him! I'll fucking kill that fucking cunt!
Like that? Is that better?
Yeah, that works.
I heard it, yeah.
I stare at him, my eyes wide as I watch him stamp his feet like a little kid. Then he slaps himself across the face twice.
He is the kid.
After that, he closes his hand into a fist and punches himself in the head repeatedly. It's with the
Yeah, he
force
doesn't
that
have internalized homophobia. Yeah, no.
No.
That's just crazy talk.
It's with a force that would knock me out cold. Might be funny if I wasn't tied down to a contraption in a trailer belonging to Brian. Brian stumbles after what seems to be the fifth blow and covers his face. His massive shoulders shake with sobs.
Thinks he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Thinks he can boss me around.
Brian whirls around and slams both his fists into the counter several more times, the sound of shifting glass accompanying it.
I'll kill him! I'll kill him! I'll kill him!
His voice crescendos in pitch and volume before he finally slumps against the counter. Head in his hands, he starts crying again. I breathe as quietly as I can, not wanting to draw any attention to myself.
I'll get him. I'll fucking get him. Won't control me no more.
Suddenly, his quaking shoulders freeze. He slowly turns around with a sinking heart. I realize he's looking right at me.
We were joking that this is done in Looney Tune world. Just I'm pretty sure any of the Looney Tunes would have just watched this happen to been fuck this, I quit and just left. It was they just pulled their arms and their feet out and the contraption off, be nope, I'm out of here, and Brian just turns just empty. He's fuck.
No, they'd probably
use that escape-proof tune rope.
I mean, they'd probably just pull their arms and legs and head out and pat him on the shoulder and say it's going to be okay, and then just slip everything back in, what Roger Rabbit does in that one movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gonna be okay, Brian. You'll get through it. And then he just goes right back to laying down.
The fur on his cheeks, already matted before, are now flat and shiny with wet. Snot runs from his nose down to his upper lip. Then I see red drooping from his left fist. The fur on the right is matted with blood as well. He watches me for a while, then grins.
Am I funny to you?
I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. He suddenly strides right up to the end of my platform, standing between my spread legs. I feel numb, the fear taking up every fiber of my being. I feel nothing else.
You like seeing him make fun of me?
I try to speak again, but still nothing comes out. I swallow.
No. Well, kind of a little. I mean, it's pretty funny. Yeah.
And then he stabs you.
He slaps you.
My trips tremble as my voice shakes. Never stuttered so hard in my life.
You know what I'd do to you if I could?
Brian sneers down at me, the wet fur on his cheeks bristling out.
Oh, I swear to God, I'd fucking tear your balls off right fucking now.
Well, that's not how CBT work.
He rests a huge hand on my crotch and presses down. I cringe and whine.
Please.
Brian's grin only gets bigger as he rubs his crotch with his other hand, as he watches me wince.
Oh, good. You already know how to beg.
He leans forward towards my face, moving his hand to clamp over my mouth.
Shh. And then I'd hang you for hours.
I stare at him, breathing hard through my nose, tears leaking down the sides of my face. His hand slides down from my mouth to my neck, where he starts to squeeze.
Then I'd give you a little stool to stand on when you start to go out. Then I'd kick it out again.
I gasp and gag, both from the squeezing and from his reeking breath.
It's like the one worst thing. Just puts his mouth in front of you and talks. It's like,
Yeah. You just projectile vomit right into his face.
and then you find out he's into that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I can hear you guys.
Welcome back.
Yeah, Discord just hates me. John Delancey's getting his revenge.
He stares hard at me, and I can feel his crotch grinding up against mine. He's hard. Then he blinks and slowly pulls back. He watches me gasp and sob for a while before reaching down again. I try to turn my head, letting out a moan of terror, but he doesn't grab my neck again. Instead, he prods and teases the fur, checking the skin on my neck.
Better not bruise it. If that fucking cocksucker saw that.
His expression darkens again.
If you fucking tell Duke about this.
He raises his fist, and I cringe.
To be fair, he hasn't done anything. Oh, well, he's gonna hit punch him, I guess. No, I won't, I swear. Except for the juicy details.
Juicy with this guy. I turn my head away, eyeing his raised fist. He holds it there for a while, watching me. He seems to be calculating something, like he's wondering if he can get away with what he's about to do. And he seems to make up his mind.
Good.
With that, he slams his fist right down to the center of my torso, just below the ribs. Oh,
shit.
solar plexus.
That's bad.
My vision flashes and I hear a rasping, droning wheeze that I realize is coming from my mouth. It goes on until there's no air left in me. Then I can't breathe again. My vision goes black as I suffocate, writhing against the restraints, wanting to curl up into a little ball and disappear. It feels like hours, days, before I can finally get a sip of air. My mouth gapes as I try to suck it in faster. Brian
Well,
is
to be
standing
fair,
over me.
he's an otter, so shouldn't he have like crazy lung capacity?
Brian is standing over me, and I'm somehow surprised that he's got a worried look on his face. He probably thinks he's killed me, but then my stomach starts to turn, and I turn and lurch. Before I realize that I'm about to puke, a gush of vomit fills my mouth, and I start to choke.
Shit!
Brian hurries to my side as I'm giving a second heave mixed with a gag. He tips the platform over sideways.
Did that shit come out?
Yeah, for the most part. His huge paw pushes my face to the side to look at the ground, and I watch
Oh,
as
wait,
it all.
wait, wait. Didn't they say earlier at the diner that he was going to throw up, but there was nothing in his stomach?
Yeah, I suppose, but now there's maybe
It's
bile.
the magic food. Yeah, it's the magic food that came up.
Yeah,
Didn't he get him some water?
yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
His huge paw pushes my face to the side to look at the ground, and I watch as it all spills to the ugly shag carpet. When I finish, Brian slowly tilts the table back up, looking at me with disgust. At this point, I'm too tired to cry. Instead, I lay there in a daze, occasionally hacking and coughing. Brian goes to the kitchen, wrestling around a while before returning with water and paper towels. He wipes my face and nose before tilting my head up to drink water.
Rinse and spit.
He holds the mug there too until I do as he says, and he gets down on his knees.
Spit into his face.
I watch as his head bobs up and down as he busies himself with the mess on the floor, muttering about Duke finding out. I'm too numb to really care right now, though. Right now, I'm starting to realize that I might not survive this.
Really,
Brian,
you've
calm.
just figured that out?
Brian calms down pretty quick after his tantrum. Once he cleans up the mess, he splays out on the couch and starts watching TV. Some kind of cartoon about a pink cat, and he actually laughs along with the juvenile jokes.
I'm imagining he's watching Snagglepuss.
That's what I was thinking too.
While this goes
The
on, I
gayest of
lay.
Hanna-Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera.
While this goes on, I lay quietly against my platform, trying not to start crying again. My mind keeps wandering back just hours ago, how everything seemed fine for the most part. I keep wishing I could go back to the beginning of the week. Thinking
Like start
about
a new route or something.
thinking about that makes me sentimental. And I'm longing to see Leo, TJ, Carl, Jenna, and even Flynn again. Where are they all now? Duke said things were bad out there, and they are all in some sort of trouble. If that's the case, the cops should be out here by now. Someone should have gotten word out, wouldn't they? People were murdering each other. Like what happened to Jaundice. I imagine it's Janice, Jaundice, M dash. There's no way that wouldn't be the case. Brian let out another explosive laugh, wiggling his feet on the armrest of the couch. Earlier, he tried to feed me some dried cereal, but it was like cardboard in my mouth, and after only a handful, I couldn't eat it anymore. Just thankful that he's preoccupied with something else right now. There's a soft knock at the door, and Brian jumps, quickly changing the channel to Gulp before he gets up and lumbers over to the door.
Yeah, it was
paused.
Snagglepuss. He's like, I don't want people knowing I laugh at a gay cartoon.
He pauses, then rifles through some magazines on a small table next to the couch. He pulls out a handgun that looks cartoonishly small in his hands before making his way to the door. I weakly turn my head in his direction and watch Brian open the door crack. He chuckles.
World's going to shit, and you're still coming here for more, eh?
Brian pushes the door open a bit more, and I catch sight of a skinny, malnourished polecat. Clint is looking up at Brian, appearing even more disheveled than usual.
You know, he could have already gotten some meth earlier in the day. Like, can you go through meth that fast, even if you're an addict? Because, like, he's already back for another dose?
I literally don't know anything about meth dosages or anything like that. I just know
'Cause,
that
yeah,
you can smell
he's
a meth
back kind of
dealer.
fast. Yeah, because he is back
Yeah.
surprisingly fast.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't give him so much.
So we doing?
Clint had stepped up onto the first step and looked into the trailer, immediately spotting me. He stares. The shock on his face is almost comical. Brian turns to see what he's looking at, as if he'd forgotten that I was even there. Gives a
All
start
right,
before
I'm keeping a hostage.
he gives a start before shoving Clint back out the door.
I'm full today. I'm full today. I already got someone taking your spot.
And then Clint's like, "You're cheating on me."
Clint's now out of my
I
line of
thought I was your special cat.
Clint's out of my line of sight, but I can hear him shuffling around with the dead vegetation.
Please, I really need something right now. We can do it outside. You know, in nature, under the stars, be all romantic.
There's a moment of silence as Brian seems to contemplate that.
I've got some business to take care of. Tomorrow, maybe.
Clint starts to whine again, but Brian swings the door shut with a bang.
Fucking dopehead.
Brian walks back into the room looking down at me, then back to the TV.
More Snagglepuss. Probably shouldn't have let him see you, though.
He mumbles before sitting back down and switching the channel back to the cartoon. I stare up at my reflection. Even from here, I can see that my eyes are bloodshot, the fur on my face matted. There are dark spots on my shirt, too, and distantly I wonder if Brian had broken ribs when he punched me. But I remember that his hand had been bleeding when he did that. I feel strange right now, numb. It kind of feels good after the whirlwind of emotions I'd had earlier. Still haven't caught up to everything that's happened since I was in that diner. Would I ever be able to? Would I have time if Brian planned to? A tinge of panic pierces through my fog of disassociation, and I clench my eyes shut, screwing my face up as I try not to start crying again. Brian snorts again at something on the TV. I open my eyes to the distraught otter laying on the wooden torture contraption.
Why is there a mirror on your ceiling? Because I am Chase, and I am very dumb, and can't know that people put mirrors above their beds all the time. That's not even a kinky thing.
I surprised myself a little by asking the question. Apparently, I don't really give a fuck at this point. I see Brian look over at me from my peripheral vision.
You really want to know?
I shrug the best I can, continue to stare passively up at the ceiling. The movement sends electric tingles through my arms, which are completely numb at this point.
Well,
Brian shifts around on the couch as he tries to get a better look at me.
when I has my fun, I likes them to see what I'm doing.
I stare up at the mirror, my expression still blank.
I mean, it's not just about what I'm feeling. What they're feeling is important too.
Fear. And that's what Brian likes.
Sure, I can choke you all I want and cut you all I want. But when I do that, you're not really thinking about what's actually happening.
Brian shifts into a sitting position, now more interested in our conversation than his cartoons. I realize that I probably made a mistake.
Wanna see?
I keep my face blank, staring at myself. I don't say anything. Brian gets up anyway and comes around to stand over me, above my head, blocking my view of the mirror. His reeking stench fills my nostrils, but still, I try not to give him the satisfaction of seeing how afraid I'm starting to become. His massive hands reach around my head and start to fiddle with something I can't see. With one quick motion, the strap comes back down over my neck and my eyes widen. I grip my teeth and try to press my head as hard as I can into the platform behind my head to lessen the strain. It's not a lot of pressure, but it's enough to make me want to gag. Brian chuckles again.
See? You're probably only thinking about how it's hard to breathe right now, right? Just trying to figure out how to make it stop. But
Brian leans back, revealing the terror-stricken otter on the ceiling, his eyes bulging, teeth bared.
now you see what's happening to you. Your brain telling you, yeah, this is really fucking happening.
The leather squeaks a little as he pulls it down tighter. I start to writhe at this point, and I can see my tongue sticking out, my face a mask of terror.
You feel more, and that's what I like.
Brian comes back into my vision, his expression different. He's really searching my face now, like he's looking for something.
Maybe you like it too.
Finally,
Well, I would think Chase is a sub, so
finally, with a final squeak of leather, Brian lets go, and I gasp hungrily for air. Brian pets my head while I cough, inhaling shakily.
Don't exaggerate. That wasn't nothing.
again, he's an otter, and they've made a specific point that he could hold his breath up to 8 minutes. So this just kind of weird how easily he's able to choke him.
Well, yeah,
In
but I
my
mean,
opinion.
it's also pressing on his carotid arteries, so
True.
he moves away again and slumps back into the couch, pulling on his crotch.
Your buddy Clint gets it way worse.
That not come out well?
I choose not to stare at the choking otter on the ceiling and instead look out the window, feeling fresh tears roll down my face. I'm not sure if it's from the choking or the black hole in my chest. I watch leaves rustling around in the wind and think about where the others are. Why no one's come to help me. Finally, I turn my head back to the ceiling. The blank expression has returned. Brian continues to chuckle at his cartoons and, despite myself, I ask another question.
Have you ever killed someone? Like today, in front of me, but that one doesn't count.
For the first time, Brian ignores me. I don't say anything for the rest of the day. I stare into the darkness, the only faint source of light coming from the moonlit leaves through the window. It's been less than 24 hours since I'd been kidnapped. Still, it makes no sense that someone hasn't found me. Is what Duke said about the town true? I wonder what Leo's doing right now, if what he's going through is just as bad. I doubt it is. At least Duke seems slightly less unhinged. I give a soft, trembling sigh, my head still throbbing from the day's events. The thunderous snoring of Brian is literally shaking the platform I'm on, and though I drifted off a few times, I can't sleep. He's right next to me, his stained couch apparently doubling as his bed. I shift around on the contraption for what feels like the 100th time trying to get comfortable when I feel something. It's more give in my right arm than I remember. In fact, it's incredibly loose. I pause, then experimentally wiggle my arm around before easily pulling my hand out of the restraint. I freeze, disbelieving, not wanting to believe in case it isn't true somehow. Painfully, I crane my neck to look at my right arm. Though it's dark, I can see that my arm is clearly free. My elbow on the board, hand in the air. I swallow hard, listening to Brian's snores again to make sure he is actually asleep. I try to keep my breathing even, not wanting to make any more sound than I need to, but I'm almost sobbing with relief at this point. Now I'm able to partially sit up and make short work of the left arm restraint. Fully sitting up now, I do away with the final two ankle restraints and slide off the table quietly. Brian is still snoring at full volume, and it covers up a little sound I make. Making my way over the messy floor, I find the steps and try not to stumble down them to open the door. Incredibly, there's no squeaking or rattling as I do. Before I know it, I'm outside in the cool air. I run through the woods and onto the road, sobbing with joy now as I see Leo's house. The lights are on, and as I'm running towards it, I even think of Carl's horn. I even think I see Carl's horns to the window. I run up the steps onto the porch and bang on the door.
Leo! Carl! I got out! Open the door! Because you guys were just chilling in there while, I was missing, but I'll get over it.
I try the handle and it opens, swinging inward to blackness. I stare, trying to comprehend.
You really fell for that?
I hear my own voice, but it isn't me that said it. Instead, it's higher pitched, like I'm hearing it from a video recording rather than my own throat. Then I'm sucked into the blackness and slammed hard back down on the wooden platform. All at once, I realize what happened, and my heart feels like it drops through my chest. Of course, a dream. I'm back in the hot, stifling trailer, and it looks even darker than it did in my dream. I close my eyes and start to cry quietly. It feels like I've just found out that I'm locked up in a psycho's trailer all over again. I turn my head and look out the window above Brian, longing for some daylight. Then I see two white eyes set against a black face staring back at me. I jump. What the fuck? Am I still dreaming? Then I see the two beige-colored ears above the head. Kudzu? I gasp again, quieter. I'm overcome with relief once again, but the fear that I'm still dreaming is almost overpowering it. I wave my left hand as much as I can, but I'm not sure if he can see it. I realize that none of the light from the window is falling on me. Kudzu moves to the side, then back again, squinting, clearly trying to see inside. I think about making a noise, calling out his name, but I have no idea how deep of a sleeper Brian is.
Again, calling out people's names. Always the best move for Chase.
As if on cue, Brian gives a louder snore and rolls over.
Falls off the
Kudzu
couch.
seems to have heard it, the big ears perking before he ducks down. My heart hurts just losing sight of him, and I strain at my bonds. Brian seems to be waking up, though, mumbling something in his sleep.
No, you're dead.
I pull with my weights. I pull with my right arm again, in case my dream had been onto something. It doesn't budge.
Fucking cunt.
Brian's really starting to kick around now, his massive form rolling over onto his stomach, rubbing his face into the pillow. He starts to make loud gasping sounds, and he gets to his knees on the bed.
Back off!
He holds his hands up, snarling.
You're dead! You're dead!
I stare at him, almost forgetting about Kudzu. His eyes are open and they snap to me, his hands still out.
No.
His face is etched in horror, eyes wide and white in the darkness. He backs up against the wall, against the back of the couch as he continues to stare. I stare back at him, unsure what he's going to do. After about 10 seconds, his expression starts to melt from horror to confusion. I continue to stare back, bracing for another explosion from him for whatever reason. His shoulders drop again and he frowns at me.
Did you see her? Did you see her?
My mouth is dry, so I have to swallow a few times before I can answer.
Canon is that it's Rachel, Duke's wife. Is that who is he seeing? But that's me. Who?
Brian doesn't respond and starts to look around the trailer. I see Kudzu starting to poke his head up again. At this point, I've made it up in my mind that I want to escape tonight. I'm not going to spend another minute with this maniac. Making a decision that could mean life or death so suddenly is terrifying and exhilarating. I don't give myself time to think about it.
Brian?
He doesn't answer, starting to get up and look around.
Brian? I need to go to the bathroom.
Brian sighs as he flips on the light. Kudzu drops out of view again. Brian heaves a huge sigh before turning to the counter. He reaches for a pan and dumps out some murky water into the sink. I wrinkle my nose. He shrugs at me.
What? This'll do.
No, I need to use your toilet. My stomach's feeling really bad right now. So just let me out of these bonds, and I won't do anything to try to escape,
Yeah.
Totally safe.
He'll just put you on a leash. Brian turns and really looks at me.
Like what? You gotta puke?
I shift on the platform.
No, I think I have diarrhea.
Brian pulls a look of extreme disgust, which is kind of funny for someone who apparently never showers.
No,
Also, this is contradicted in Arches.
All right. Oh, it was countered in Arches. Oh, great. Maybe he
Yeah.
maybe he formed a liking for it.
Yeah, he just doesn't care. Honey Badger don't care. Of course, he's a bear. Never mind.
oh, come on.
He glares at me like it's my fault that I might be sick. He looks around a while, then backs down at the pan. The bear seems to quickly disregard the idea and sets it back down on the counter. He comes over next to me and starts to undo the restraints.
If you try anything,
No, I promise. I just really need to go out of the trailer. Zink!
Brian grumbles as he starts to roughly undo my restraints. I take care not to look at his crotch as it's pressed uncomfortably close to my face. As he pulls my right arm out, I gasp in shock and pain. It feels like a million needles are poking through it as he pushes my arm down next to my body.
Wait. Fuck!
Brian pauses as he watches me grimace in pain, and I worry he's getting off to it. At that moment, though, there's some rustling next to the window, and I try to groan over it.
Oh, fuck!
The bear looks at me, bewildered and annoyed.
what?
Now my dream seems even more ridiculous than I'd so easily been able to run off.
Everything's falling asleep. Just take it slower.
Brian sighs even louder and gets to work on my left arm anyway. This time he doesn't yank my arm through and lets me slowly move it on my own. It's not nearly as bad as my right arm, which is still violently tingling, but I have to grip my teeth as I move it to rest on my chest. Luckily, my legs are fine, and I'm able to move them easily after Brian takes them out. It makes me worry about what I'm going to do, since I'm not really as strong as I should be. Brian is clearly on guard as he helps me sit up from the contraption, keeping his distance as he holds onto my arm. I sit there a moment, letting the circulation return back to my limbs as I try not to fall over from the dizziness. Brian finally gives a growl of annoyance and pulls me off the wooden platform. I realize that this is the moment I have to make my move. There's nothing nearby for me to grab, so instead I swing everything I have to smash my fist up against the side of Brian's face. Something cracks in my hand and pain rushes up my arm. I gasp and cringe as Brian grunts. Brian
Clearly,
pauses
this was a great plan.
Oh, yeah. Brian pauses and slowly brings his hand to feel the side of his face. I guess I'd hoped that I would be able to knock him out with the one punch.
One punch
So,
off.
okay, Saitama.
Saitama.
Yeah, Saitama.
Saitama.
But doing that as an otter to a bear, especially a bear like Brian, would have been quite a feat.
You'd have to roll a 20, followed by another 20.
Brian does seem stunned, though, and that's all I need to take a huge breath and scream as loud as I can.
Down!
Brian whirls on me, swinging his fist along with him. I duck immediately, covering my head with one arm, the other still locked in Brian's grasp. He only partially misses, his fist catching the top of my head and my arm. It knocks me to the ground, and I sit there in a daze. I don't have long to collect myself because Brian is pulling a foot back to kick me.
Shut up! Shut up!
I roll to the side and start trying to back away while I'm crouched, but Brian yanks me up by my arm my head jerking back with force. And I'm starting to wonder if Kudzu ended up leaving. If that is the case, then I'm definitely dead, because there's no way I'm going to break this. I'm going to break his grasp.
Yeah,
As I'm
Kutsu
thinking-
just showed up for a minute and then he's gonna dip. That totally sounds like what he's gonna do.
He was like, no, never mind. I'll let him go.
I thought again, Brian. Never mind.
As I'm thinking this, the door bangs open. Brian is in the middle of drawing his face back when it happens, and he freezes, looking over at the door. Kutsu stands there, his eyes wide behind his black mask. Chest
Yeah, he's a
heaving.
Batman villain. In case everybody didn't know. Yeah.
Brian, the evil bear.
Well, no, Kudzu, because he has a black mask. Never mind.
It
He's
sounds
scared, I can tell, but Brian's shot gives me an opening I was looking for. I reach between his legs and grab his balls. Weirdly enough, the first thought I have is about how fucking big it is. The second, it takes both my hands to wrap around it fully. When I do, I twist and yank as hard as I can. I pour all my fear and anger into attack, snarling as I do so. The scream that Brian lets out is so high-pitched, I feel like every glass in the trailer is going to explode. This attack is all I have left, so when his retaliation comes, I don't do anything to defend myself. Luckily, it's not a punch or a kick, but rather he grabs the fur on the back of my head, along with my shirt, and tries to pull me back. My face stretches back as I stubbornly hold on and just yank down even harder. His sack is stretched and distorted so badly it's barely even recognizable as balls.
God.
His screaming suddenly cuts off with the sound of a deep, sickening smack. Immediately, Brian's body crumples onto me as he falls to his hands and knees. It happens in a way that he's splayed over me, his face inches from mine. I have time to smell his gag-inducing breath before the sound happens again. This time I see Kudzu swinging something down hard from overhead, and Brian's head jolts. I watch as his eyes lose focus on me, and then he slumps down. I turn my head sideways as he comes to rest on my body, crushing the air from my lungs. Kudzu is there immediately and pushes Brian's body aside to the point of being able to pull me out. He pulls me into a sitting position next to him. Are you okay? He's shaking, and I can hear his ragged breath in my ear. The contrast between being engulfed in Brian's stench and smelling Kudzu's shampooed fur and peppermint breath is striking. I can't speak, and instead I lean against Kudzu and wrap my arms around him as I sob. Kudzu holds me as he looks me over. Can you walk? I nod silently as I press my face onto the fur of his shoulder. All right, come on. We can't stay here. He stands slowly, keeping me in the embrace as he guides me towards the door. He then returns with his bat and finishes Brian off by crashing his skull until there's just a red paste on the ground,
That's what should happen.
If only.
making sure that Brian doesn't ever come back for us.
Would that it were. Would that it were.
Or he calls the police. Which probably doesn't do either.
Well, he can't, but we'll get into that. Well, you'll see why.
Oh,
later.
no.
And then the police, they beat Brian's head until it's only a paste.
No. I could make jokes, but I'm not going to because they're just so horrible. I don't remember.
The police only respond to pinball vandalism.
Mhm.
That's the only thing they respond to in this universe.
I don't remember. I don't remember how much about the walk back to Kudzu's house aside from stilted flashes of dirt and sagebrush. It's dark and hot, and my shirt immediately starts to stick to my sweaty fur. My legs are so numb that I don't even know if I'm moving them right. Kudzu has to hold on to me the entire way so I don't fall over. Why doesn't he just, pick you up and fireman carry you home? Crickets chirp all around
no,
us.
he's got a princess carry him.
He's got a princess carrying the entire one. Crickets chirp all around us, but every few minutes I hear shouting and screams in the distance.
Disney Princess Chase Hunter.
I'm trying to look over my shoulder to see if Brian is coming after us, but Kudzu grunts and tells me to keep watching my steps. Some circulation has returned to my legs, and I'm able to at least match Kudzu's stride over the uneven dirt road. Still, it feels like 1,000 needles are stabbing up my feet and legs in waves with every step I take. I'm genuinely afraid that I'm going to wake up at any second and find myself still stuck to Brian's trailer. None of this seems real. I'm still watching my feet and the ground, so I don't notice Kudzu's house until I almost kick the bottom step of his rusty trailer. Just the sight of a trailer is sending chills up my spine, even though Brian's trailer looks very different compared to Kudzu's. We stand in front of his door for a while as the raccoon fishes through his pockets for his keys. It's made extra difficult with me hanging on him.
I can stand on my own if you...
Got it. Kudzu whips out a small gold-covered key before sliding it into the lock. Once we're inside, Kudzu immediately kicks the door closed behind us before reaching back to turn the deadlock. Kudzu then picks up his rifle and his shotgun and his 2 handguns and his
I
magnum.
was going to say, yeah, Brian's greatest weakness, a deadlock.
Yeah,
He cannot possibly penetrate that.
and then he grabs his MAGA hat.
He then reaches behind his bedpost and pulls out his katana.
Katana.
Yeah, no, then he starts dual wielding Wakashabi. Yeah.
He starts tri-wheeling. He has one in his mouth.
Yeah, he goes for One Piece, yeah.
He's got a rifle. He's got a katana, like, what is it called? Bayonet.
Katana bayonet.
Oh, like the spear rifle from Bloodborne.
Yeah. The inside of Kudzu's trailer is the opposite of its exterior. It's brightly lit and tidy. Nothing like Brian's place. It's a little cramped as any trailer would be, but the furniture is arranged neatly and the kitchen is spotless. Everything looks way newer than the trailer is on the outside. I imagine the raccoon did a lot of work to get it to look like this. Kudzu quickly guides me to a small love seat and makes as if to lay me down. I put a hand against his chest, feeling my stomach turn.
Wait, I think I'd rather sit up.
Do you need anything? Food or drink?
Whiskey, neat?
Yeah. The strongest booze you've got. I need to not remember the something. I mean, that breath. Kudzu's looking into my eyes with his dark browns. The brows above them furrowed in deep concern. I nod slowly, so as to not upset my stomach again.
Just water, please. No, I'm an otter. Us otters need our waters.
Sure. Kudzu quickly hurries off to the kitchen, and I slowly lean into the cushions behind me. I'm not tired at all, but I feel numb, and not just physically. My arms throb, and it feels like the leather straps are still bound around my wrists. It even feels like they're being pulled by an invisible force. Like if I relaxed, my arms would float back up into the fixed position.
Well, you
My
gotta
shoulder.
just use the force, Chase. Use the
Yeah.
force.
Use the force. I shudder, hugging my body, then look around, trying to find something else to focus on. A grouping of 3 picture frames on a small side table next to the love seat catches my attention. From where I'm sitting, I can see Kudzu in one of them, beaming at the camera. It's actually kind of weird to see him smiling like that. There's an arm around his neck, and I start to lean over a bit to see who it is. Here. Kudzu appears in front of me again, holding out a glass of water.
Only I think it's water. I take a sip. It's vodka.
No, it's piss.
It's like
Kudzu's just really into that.
just like, wow, this is just sake.
Sake, yeah, really.
I straighten back up and against the cushions. Once I take the glass, he holds out his other hand with 2 white pills resting in the black pad of his palm. Acetaminophen, if you're in pain. That's Tylenol for those of you who don't know what acetaminophen is.
But we can't say Tylenol for some reason.
Copyright.
I don't think it's that. Some people know it's called acetaminophen. I definitely am, so I take it in the glass without a word and swallow it down. For a second, my stomach sours and I feel like it's going to come back up, but only for a second.
Do you have any dry cereal?
Kuzu steps back and watches me. Even though his face maintains its stoic, almost glare, I see his hands fidgeting together in front of his stomach. I nod weakly at the recliner across from me.
Do you want to sit or something?
Kuzu seems to consider, then walks over to the recliner. He sits at the very edge of the cushion, back rigid, continuing to stare at me. I take another sip of water, less this time, as to not upset my stomach. It looks like he wants to say something, but keeps silent, lips pressed together.
He
Kuzu
wants
watches
me.
me. Kuzu watches me the whole time.
What's wrong? Am I just too sexy for you?
Kuzu opens his mouth, then closes it, thinking before opening it again. Are you okay?
Yeah, sorta. I mean, I'm not gonna die, I think. He may have poisoned me with, all the things in the trailer, but probably not. Probably he's not gonna like drop me, like ricin or something.
I'm not really sure if I'm completely okay. Everything still feels numb. My thoughts feel sluggish, too, and something that's been nagging at the back of my mind since I got here suddenly bubbles to the surface.
Did you call the police?
I absentmindedly reach for my phone in my pocket, but it's not there. I have no idea where it is at this point. Was it still at Leo's house? There was a slight look of consternation on Kudzu's face. Phone's not working. Even my landline isn't working. My foggy brain tries to process this.
What, did the phone lines break or something? Certainly can't be supernatural forces.
Kudzu shakes his head. I don't know.
Should we walk to my car or something and drive to Peyton?
I look out. I look back out the pitch black window.
We need to tell someone right now. Janice and Leo are still out there.
There's no way Janice hasn't been found by now. There should be police everywhere.
Where are the cops?
I turn back to Kudzu, feeling sick again. Kudzu doesn't say anything, but he's got a strange look on his face, like he's trying to figure out how to tell me something. Finally, he stands up. I'll figure something out. Listen, I think you need to get some rest. I frown.
We need to get someone out here. What if Brian comes after me?
I shrink in on myself at the thought, feeling goosebumps erupt over my arms. Kudzu steps close to me and awkwardly reaches out to put a hand on my shoulder. You'll be fine. Do you want to lay down on my bed? I don't say anything. I don't say
Already
anything.
trying to get in there.
Oh yeah. I don't say anything. My head's still trying to catch up. It's a waterbed. Kudzu adds, as if that makes the offer more tempting. He
Well,
thinks,
you are an otter.
You hungry? I don't know why he rolls his R's sometimes. You hungry? I have some muffins. It might help you get to sleep. And I shake my head.
What? No, I want to get the fuck out of here.
A loud pop makes me jump and I stand up. I'm not sure what I'm about to do, but Kudzu reaches out gently and holds on to me before pulling me away from the window. Faintly, I
Hello?
hear someone. Hello. Faintly,
Okay.
faintly, I can hear someone shouting outside, but it's far away.
What was that? Is someone shooting?
I look at Kudzu, starting to feel desperate. He puts an arm around me, at the same time moving towards the end of the trailer where the big bed is tucked in. I don't know.
Ooh, it's a king-size waterbed even. Behold, Chase.
I don't know. A lot of things are happening right now, though I think we should stay here to be safe, okay? For now, at least. I hold on to the raccoon, unsure of what to do. Listen. He holds me by both arms, and I look back at him. You've got to trust me that we can't leave right now. Explain it all after you're rested for a bit. He pauses. I can tell you're not really here right now. Here right now? You'll feel better once you wake up, alright? The thought of laying down is tempting, despite feeling like I'm going insane. If I sleep, I don't have to think. Just blank my mind and rest. My head is buzzing, and I feel like laying down might straighten things out. Kudzu gently but firmly forces me to sit down on the bed. Despite his slender build, I can feel the strength in his lean muscles.
But what about Brian and Duke?
Kudzu slowly pushes me back down onto the bed. The water underneath the surface sloshes faintly. I haven't been on an actual water bed for years. Carl used to have one. Where's Carl? Where's everyone? I want to go back to the motel and find my friends again, but Kudzu seems adamant on keeping me here. I got Leo's gun. I saw it on the ground when I went to check on you guys. You must be able to tell from the look on my face that I'm not at ease because he reaches out again to rest a hand on my chest. It's still awkward, but comforting at least. I'll be here all night. Nothing's gonna happen. That does make me feel better, at least well enough to maybe get some sleep.
Okay.
I stare at the feeling.
The
I
feeling.
stare at the ceiling as I lay back. I still feel numb, but in a way that helps me blank my mind. In what feels like less than a minute, I pass out. Yeah, you guys are actually starting to see the dyslexia.
I stare at this feeling
I
right
just
in
got
front
this feeling.
of me.
Ooga chaka. Ooga chaka.
Yeah, service dyslexia does that to you.
Oh no, Brian. Oh no, Brian.
I feel like if I keep walking along the train tracks, I'll be able to find my way out of here. I make sure to walk in the middle, using the planks as like stepping stones. The steel rails on either side of me feel like some sort of barrier, protection to whatever's out there. I feel a presence in front of me, though, a sort of pressure that builds as I continue to walk. Looking up, I can see that it's coming from that weird grove of trees that bunch up around the train yard. Something is crouched in front of that grove, staring at me from the trees. I keep walking, though, because for some reason I don't feel like I have anything to worry about as long as I stay on the tracks. I notice something else behind the hunched figure. A few bulky objects hanging from the trees. I know what they are before I can even make them out. I keep staring at them as I draw closer, ignoring the thing that's watching me as I do, hearing it breathe as I pass. Now I can see that there are several bodies hanging from the trees. They're of all shapes and species. Some hang by their necks, others by their wrists or ankle. One of them passes me within a few feet, and I notice that it doesn't have legs, both of them cut off at the thigh. It's a wolf, and he dangles by one of the stumps. Blood stains his dusty cream-colored pants and shirt all the way up to his face. As I pass him, he slowly turns on the rope as if he's following my progress. I look down at the corpse's face, the mouth hanging open, eyes wide. It's like he wants to tell me something important. I can feel my body again, but it's numb and heavy. Slowly I open my eyes and see the beige ceiling of Kudzu's trailer. I flick my eyes to the right and see Kudzu there, but only his back. He seems frozen, like in a photo. He's not even breathing. I can see the window very well from here, but from the small corner I do see. I see eyes. When I wake up, Kudzu is next to me in the bed, his back to me, one of his ears folded under his head. Having been with Leo for a few years, I know that can be pretty painful when you wake up. So I reach out and try to slowly adjust Kudzu's ear from under his head, but he immediately wakes up. He makes a funny snorting sound before suddenly jerking up halfway off the bed and looking back at me. I smile sheepishly.
Sorry, I was trying to fix your ear.
Kudzu reaches up, poking out the ear. Owie. Thanks. I like how he's like, owie.
Thanks.
Next he'll be like, ooh.
He's like, I love Chase now, ooh.
I notice on the back side table that there's a small plate with what looks like a blueberry muffin on it. Kudzu notices and reaches out for it. Do you want to eat? I ate a couple earlier myself. I didn't realize how hungry I was. He lowers his ears. Still one left, though. My stomach has settled for the most part, so I take the plate from him. Thanks. Chase, go for it.
Thanks.
I just got like this idea that's like it's like Discord all over again. Like he eats the plate and leaves the muffin.
That was good.
Well, I'm guessing that Kudu baked them himself, so he's moving up in boyfriend territory.
Right.
Mm.
He saves you from a murder. He has a cute little. He keeps his house nice and cute. He's great at gardening, and he bakes.
So he saves you from the murder, so he's immediately like Disney Prince territory, where he's Prince Kudzu.
He keeps everything nice
I
and
dig
clean, so
And Kaiser's like, I dig it.
it's still dark outside, from what I can see. Did we sleep through the whole day? I realize that I've completely lost track of time.
What time is it?
Kudzu reaches over to the bedside table, grabbing his phone. 2:30 in the morning. I rub my face.
Did we sleep through the whole day or something? Because I forget that 2:30 in the morning would be dark. I'm Chase,
No.
great reporter.
No. You were asleep for like 2 hours.
Really? So I'm going to assume you're lying. Because I, Chase Hunter, only tell time with sundials.
It felt like it had been days since what happened at Brian's trailer. Yeah, I found you around midnight. Kuzu turns nimbly on his rear on the bed, facing me with his legs crossed. How are you feeling?
I'm okay.
Oh, I think I know what his voice is slowly turning into. I think he's turning into like hot Spanish character.
The
That's
my name.
Telemundo raccoon.
My name is Kuzu Danderes.
You killed my father. Prepare to die.
You killed my otter. Prepare to die. Because he's from Asian there, he pulls out a katana.
yeah, he just whips out a katana.
or he's more closer to Indian, so he pulls out two sais.
Yeah. Kuzu gives me a long, hard look. Again, he has the expression of wanting to say something, but he's holding back.
What is it? Come on, ask me. Ask me.
Kuzu
My
lets out a
status
breath.
is single. I don't know what Leo's saying.
Kuzu lets out a breath. Yeah, I mean, Leo's dead, right? Listen, I'm not going to ask about what happened with Brian, but if you ever want to talk about it, talking about Brian is the last thing I want to do, and I can feel the threat of a violent shiver coming up my spine just thinking about him. Kuzu reaches out one of his black hands to rub at my shoulder. Awkward and comforting, as always. I've been through some stuff myself. Kuzu catches himself. Not saying I know what you went through, but I know how it can feel having something really fucked up happen to you. I don't think I've ever seen Kuzu stumble over his words like that. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it's comparable if he, Kuzu trails off, seemingly stunned at his own lack of delicacy. Delicacy? Yeah, okay. For the first time
No,
since
it's like a lunch meat. You gotta make sure it's good and sliced.
He's surprised that he's like not cooked the right way and sauced the right flavor.
Welcome to Kuzu's Delicatessen.
I'm not
For the
gamey at all.
For the first time since I left that trailer, I feel a little bit like laughing. I reach up to rub Kuzu's own arm, feeling like I needed to comfort him now.
No, it's fine, man. He didn't do anything like that, at least not how you think he would. He wanted to, though, but apparently Duke has a magical force over him.
Kuzu watches me. I know he's not going to ask, so I go on.
He has a thing for asphyxiation, I guess.
Oh, jeez. Kuzu's eyes immediately go to my neck.
I'm fine. It's just creepy.
Creepy definitely doesn't begin to describe it, but I don't think now's the time to go into details.
Traumatize him back.
I look out the window again, and aside from a few orange dots of light from a faraway lamppost, it's black.
So can you tell me what's going on now?
Kuzu runs
I,
his
as a
hand.
reporter, will note all of it.
Kuzu runs his hand through his head fur, sighing heavily and looking out the window with me. Sure you don't want to wait until morning?
I really don't think I'm going to be able to fall asleep again. Honestly. I'll have to be hit with a car or something to get the next dream sequence.
Kuzu continues to stare out the window, and that's when I really start to wonder what it was that I had missed. So, yesterday, about noon is when I saw some weird stuff going on. Kudzu looks at me. Your friend, DJ. He came kind of jogging up the road. My mind flashes back to when I saw TJ running past the diner. I hadn't had time to really figure out what he was doing before Duke barged in. He said someone was after him, and that he needed to leave.
He talked to you? Where is he?
I feel the fur pricking up all over my body. I thought that TJ might be out there somewhere, and the chaos is terrifying. How could someone like him survive that? I'm certainly doing a terrible job. I don't know. He asked me if I had a car, but I don't, so he kept on up the road. Up the road? There's nothing past Kudzu's trailer aside from Carl's house, and that's over a mile away. But Carl doesn't have a car anymore. Maybe he just stayed with the Ram. I hope that's the case. After he left, though, is when things really started going crazy. Kudzu shakes his head. You know Dale?
Yeah. He hangs out with Chip. And they rescue things.
Yeah.
They fight Fat Cat.
Dale is the only otter in town now that my family has left. He was walking up the road with a fucking shotgun, pointing it around at stuff.
Is that out of the ordinary for Dale?
I want to get back on the topic of TJ. If he went up the road away from the town, we could still find him. But he was bleeding, had cuts on his leg, and his jeans were all ripped up.
Like Janice was coming after him. I'm sticking with that as my headcanon.
Mm.
Oh.
Janice was coming after him. She was singing her favorite song ever. Shank, shank, shank. Shank, shank, shank.
Well, I can explain why I do think it's him. If you guys want to listen to my crazy headcanons.
Nah, don't worry about it.
Nah, don't worry about this. It's
Oh.
all good.
But he knocked on my door. I didn't open it, but he yelled through it, saying there was a meeting in the center of town.
What kind of meeting? You
Fucked
know,
up-
like, is it a tea party, or are we gonna like have like a prep rally, or
The leader of town is making a lot of Kool-Aid that he wants us all to drink. A fucked up one, apparently. Anyway, I went over to Leo's house to see if he was home. Then I saw the window. Kudzu rubs the back of his neck, his ears lowering. Obviously, I knew some bad shit had happened, but I had no way of knowing what. Anyway, I went to the town center, hoping I'd see you two there, but just getting there was crazy. Kudzu looks back at me. Jeremy's house was burning, and Jones's house looked like it had been broken into. Yeah, no, her name was just Jonas now.
yeah, because they have to steal all her precious
Liver time.
meth overtime. Yeah,
Jeremy's house? That was Jenna's house. Didn't run into anybody until I got to the town halls. Into the town house. This whole
yeah.
thing is
It's not a town hall; it's a townhouse.
yeah.
That's how big of a deal Echo is. It has a whole house, not just a hall.
This whole thing is just getting bigger and bigger. While I'd been in Brian's trailer, everything had been falling apart outside. But why?
What's going on?
Kuzu shakes his head. I still don't know that, even after they told me.
Who?
The older guys, Mark and the mayor, said something about this having happened before, that it was our turn or something.
Our turn? What does that mean? If
Did
I
you
had,
shake-
looked into the actual smoke room like I was in town to do, I would know. But I'm Chase Hunter. Doot, 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 doot.
I'm a reporter. Kudzu shakes his head again. I don't know. They just said it happened to their grandparents. That we had to be ready.
Ready? Do they tell us what to do?
Said to pray.
Is that all they told you?
Basically. Acted like there was nothing we can do about it, and, Kudzu tells us.
What?
They also said we can't leave and showed us a body. Kudzu stops stalking. I stare.
Like a dead body? Or like a live one that, they just wanted to show off? They were on the Ozempic, so they had, some, their abs were just ready to go. They were in a crop top.
Oh, 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 echo! Kudzu swallows and nods.
What is going on?
I feel my voice rise in pitch, and Kudzu puts up his hands as if trying to quiet me down. I don't know, but there were weird cuts on the body. They said we can't leave because something out there will stop us if we try to leave town.
Its
I
name
stare
is John.
at Kudzu.
Like a serial killer or something? Which is odd because Brian's over at his trailer.
Hopefully dead, but probably not. They wouldn't say. They acted like it's a monster. So they are telling me that these are a bunch of people who live out in the middle of nowhere. And as a result of that, are probably heavily armed, and these fuckers aren't just marching out in force, rifles and shotguns out there ready to just blast this thing into oblivion. Then it turns out the thing has DR 1 million physical.
Hey,
Well,
we'll
get there when we get there. Yeah, I don't know if guns can stop it.
I think this creature's CR is like infinity.
CR, better call Saren Ray.
Better call Kutu.
Challenge rating 1,000,000. Challenge rating
Yeah.
infinity. You're fighting a god.
You just see Kudzu, and he's just like, Athamarasu, come and save us.
Well, I beat gods all the time in Elden Ring, and I'm just a little tarnished.
Well, granted, the one actual god you meet in that game is like an absolute piece of shit. That was like the
Oh.
weakest god in the game.
Oh, and Elden Ring?
Yeah. Elden Beast was a joke. It's like
Yeah.
got beat by everything, including Radigan.
Yeah. He's not
Well,
really.
to be fair, it's a lot easier with the horse now, yeah.
Yeah, he's not really intended to be. I think he's intended to be. I mean, he has to be easy there because he's part of a duo fight. Anyway, Chase, go for it.
Okay. Well, then they're lying, right? Because
Kudzu's
monsters
quiet.
can't be real. That would be crazy.
Yeah, Kudzu's quiet for a moment, then shakes his head. After everything I've seen, I just don't know.
Well,
I think trying to figure out what the hell we're going to do. Now, this is why you should have a helicopter. You can just turn on your helicopter and fly up like a mile or something and then fly over to Peyton.
yeah, just a plane.
You just see, like, Socket Man just jump into the air.
Probably because it's like
You see,
Attack on Titan all of a sudden.
you just see like the shockwave come after him. He goes and flies up into the helicopter.
And then because it's all becoming enemy, just like someone just like slides into the screen and punches it to the ground. Echo has never haunted again.
So that's when Dr. Stone shows up and uses like 8 different kinds of insane science and just like it's about, uses like gets a tunnel going and they just dig their way out of Echo.
Yeah, the rest of the greater universe in this setting shows up and just Star Killer bases the entire star system to try and get rid of it. All right, Chase, go for it.
Well, we need to find Leo at least.
Kudzu nods. Like he's already thought about that.
And maybe get my car and at least try to leave.
Kudzu doesn't say anything to that.
But if we can't leave for whatever reason, then we at least have to find the rest of my friends. Because
Now
that is Kudzu's responsibility, finding his friends
I look
that
at
he doesn't
Kudzu.
know.
I look at Kudzu.
Well, I do. I don't know what you're going to be doing. This is how I thank you for saving my life from a serial killer.
The band.
It's just like, laters, dipping out.
Kudzu gives me a wry smile. Well, I don't have anywhere else to go aside from out of here. Besides, I owe it to Leo to get him out.
And then we will see how Leo repays the favor.
By being an abusive dickhead.
Yes.
Well, someone must have read ahead.
I feel a warm rush of relief flow over me, knowing that Kudzu will be with me.
And you notice Kudzu speaking.
I don't think I'd be able to do any of this alone.
But he's a super capable journalist, Otter. Clearly, he can, fight the apocalypse by himself.
Yeah, don't you know? All he needs to do is take off his glasses, go into a phone booth, correct his posture, and change clothes, and then he'll fly out and go beat up, like, I don't know, who's Superman's villains?
Socket Man.
Yeah, he'll go beat up Socket Man.
Chase, go for it.
Okay. So we're going to get Leo?
Kudzu nods. Well, I am, at least. You should really stay here. It's some more rest after what you went through. Of course, I'd rather stay here and hide until Kudzu comes back, but Leo tried to save me back at the diner. Risked his life to do it. After everything Leo had done for me, I owe him too.
Yeah, I think that had to be like if you run through the front door. Because, I don't know what they're talking about other than, the standard get down, which, anybody would do. I don't know. No, I'm going to go with you. Because I'm super capable Otterman.
Kudzu shakes his head. I don't think so. It'll make things easier if it's just me. Kudzu shifts, looking towards the kitchen. Besides, I have Leo's gun with me, in case something goes wrong.
Then why didn't you use it?
Why don't you kill the people who are trying to kill
bulletproof,
him? Brian is bulletproof. That is why you put the muzzle of the. That's why you put the muzzle of the gun.
Up
You
his
shove
butt.
it slightly into his eye socket and then pull the trigger.
Or you stick it up his butt.
Nah, he'd like that too much.
Probably would. Bulletproof
He was
bear.
my boyfriend. I can't just.
Really becomes like an Asian martial arts movie. So it's Bulletproof Bear.
All right, Chase.
He was my boyfriend. I can't just sit here while you save him.
Kudzu pauses. Listen, I know Leo, and I know he would never want me to bring you into something like this.
Yeah, well, Leo not wanting me to do something's never stopped me. Especially that time when the R word came up. But I did it anyway.
Getting defiant like this is making me feel better. Gives me purpose again. Gudzu looks like he's about to shake his head again, but I continue.
Besides, it might help things. One of us could go in while the other distracts Duke or something.
Gudzu looks unsure, so I press my advantage.
And if something goes wrong, one of us would be there to help the other.
Gudzu pulls at one of his whiskers. Damn it. Maybe. If it's just Duke there.
He might not even be there. He might be at Brian's trailer or somewhere else around town.
Gudzu sighs, then looks me right in the eyes. Are you sure you want to do this? I'm not, but I nod anyway.
And now it's Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Sunday!
Hmm.
And alright, it is currently pretty late, so I think that is where we are going to call it for today.
It's about 6.